warm welcome to all of you in the Shri Krishna University classroom. Myself Abhishek Pathak, and today I am going to deliver a lecture on history of pharmacopoeia. So, to support the health of the population through consistent standards for the medicines, at the very early, first of all, the USP means the United States Pharmacopoeia was formed. It is formed in the 1820. After that, in 1864, BP, British Pharmacopoeia was formed at the national level. After that, to cover a region, in 1969, European Pharmacopoeia was formed, and in year 1874, International Pharmacopoeia was formed. The history of Indian Pharmacopoeia, if we will talk about particularly for the India, the Pharmacopoeia of India is known as a Indian Pharmacopoeia, and the history of Indian Pharmacopoeia means IP began in 1833 when a committee recommended publication of a pharmacopoeia which was first completed in 1844 and mainly consisted by commonly used indigenous remedies. A subsequent publication in 1868 included not only the indigenous drugs used in the India but also the drugs of British Pharmacopoeia. Then in 1885, the BP was made official in India. BP was the pharmacopoeia of the British, BP is the British Pharmacopoeia, but in the year 1885, BP was mandatory made official in the India. So after that, after independence from the Britain, the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission was established in the year 1948 with its main function being publication of IP as the National Pharmacopoeia. So the first edition of the modern IP Indian Pharmacopoeia was published in the year 1955 and the current 8th edition was published in the year 2018. So now the main question is, what is the pharmacopoeia and why we are today going to discuss about the pharmacopoeia. Pharmacopoeia is the official book. It is the official book of standards for drugs prepared by any country, means the government of that country or regulatory body to specify the standards of identity, purity and strength for the drugs imported from other countries, manufactured in particular countries or distributed throughout the country or a specific region. It is a book containing collection of monographs. The pharmacopoeia contain all the information in terms of monograph, and a monograph is a content for the particular drug or its dosage forms overall. So it is a book containing collection of the monographs and published by an authorized body like government or pharmaceutical society. The term pharmacopoeia comes from the Greek word, and when we break this word pharmacopoeia into two words, it is made up of the two words pharmakon and means poia. Pharmakon meaning drug and poia means to form. So the pharmacopoeia means the formation of drug, the information about the formation of drug. So the combination means any formula or the standards required to make a drug, to form a drug. Next is a monograph is a collection of detailed information. What types of the informations will be present in a particular monograph of a particular drug in a particular pharmacopoeia. So the information that are contained in the monographs are chemical name of particular drug, assay for the drug, formula of that drug, a specific optical rotation of that drug, solubility, nature of solubility, what type of the solubility is present in particular type of the drug, loss on drying, identification, sulfated ash, pH of the drug compound or dose. Monograph of any drug as per the IP, if we will talk about the particular drug like the paracetamol. So paracetamol formula is given in the IP, that is the C8H9NO2. After that, the content 99.0% to 101.0 101.0% as a dry substance. It is made, the rule is, it's a rule that the content of the paracetamol in a particular drug, it should be either 99 or either 101%. And the characters that are included in the monograph for the paracetamol are the appearance of the paracetamol, and the paracetamol is a white crystalline powder. We all know that the powders are of the two types, the crystalline powder, fine powder, or the amorphous powder. So the appearance of the paracetamol is crystalline powder. Solubility, sparingly soluble in the water. Paracetamol is sparingly soluble in the water, and it is freely soluble in the alcohol, and very slightly soluble in the methylene chloride. If we talk about the definition of paracetamol in the monograph of Indian Pharmacopoeia, so its name is given as a definition. It's a N,4-hydroxyphenyl acetamide. After that, identification procedures are given for the paracetamol in the monograph of IP. So the first identification includes the process A and C, and the second identification includes the process A, B, D and E. Melting point of paracetamol is given in the monograph of IP. It is the 168 degree Celsius to the 172 degree Celsius. And protect the solution from the bright light. It is also included in the Pharmacopoeia and the Indian Pharmacopoeia, that you have to protect the solution of paracetamol from the bright light. So otherwise it could be deteriorate. Next is there the infrared absorption spectrophotometry, the detailed procedure how to determine the spectrogram of the by the IR, infrared absorption spectrometry. After that, there are certain tests for the paracetamol, which includes the related substance. What types of the related substance are present in the paracetamol drugs? Those are not the paracetamol, but the related compounds that, and their limits, how much amount of these related compounds may be present in the particular paracetamol drug. So next test is there, heavy metals, maximum 20 ppm parts per million may be present, and other, if more than 20 ppm heavy metals are present in the drug paracetamol, it would not be considered to be used for the human beings. Next is there, loss on drying, maximum 0.5%. Loss on dryings, particularly it is said that the volatile material, volatile solvents or the water in terms of the humidity is present. So that loss on drying should not be more than 0.5%. And the sulfated S, it may be maximum 0.1% sulfated S may be present in the paracetamol. After that, there is given the information about the assay of the paracetamol, and the storage conditions for the paracetamol is also given in the monograph of the IP. And again, we have talked already that protect from the light. Paracetamol should be protected from the light, otherwise it may deteriorate by the presence of light. And the impurities, what kind of the impurities may be present in the paracetamol powder, those name of all those impurities are given in the monograph, and how to determine, how to analyze the quantity of these impurities, it is all procedures is given in the monograph of paracetamol in the Indian Pharmacopoeia. In the monograph of paracetamol in the Indian Pharmacopoeia, action and uses are also given for the paracetamol. So paracetamol is used as an analgesic and as an antipyretic. Analgesic meaning those drugs which are used to relieve from pain, and antipyretic are the drugs those are used to relieve from the fever. And there are also given some preparations or the dosage forms for the paracetamol. So these are the co-catamol tablets, effervescent co-catamol tablets, co-didromol tablets, co-proxamol tablets, pediatric paracetamol oral solution, paracetamol oral suspension, paracetamol suppositories, paracetamol tablets, dispersible paracetamol tablets, and soluble paracetamol tablets. So these are the different dosage forms for paracetamol given in the monograph of Indian Pharmacopoeia. Next is the, what is the importance of the Pharmacopoeia? Why we use Pharmacopoeia and the different countries, why they use Pharmacopoeia? So, to maintain the uniformity and control the standards of the drugs available in the markets. Suppose if we take example of any antibiotic like the amoxicillin, so all the dosage forms which are using amoxicillin antibiotic, they should have the uniformity of the content, uniformity in the quality and the uniformity quantitatively. So, and the next is to avoid the adulterated drugs. The government has fixed the limits of impurity in the form of adulteration, means how much amount of a drug can be adulterated, how much amount of the impure drug can be present in a pure drug substances. So, and the third one is the complete information on drugs and their dosage forms. In a pharmacopoeia, all over the informations related to a drug, like its dosage forms, like its different analytical tests and different quality parameters, all are included in the pharmacopoeia. And the next is reference for laboratory, industry and the academic institutions. If any of the new industry or suppose laboratories, they are going to use particular kind of the drug or the dosage forms, or they are going to prepare particular kind of the dosage forms from a particular drug. So, there is a Indian Pharmacopoeia or the Pharmacopoeia in different nations or the different countries, we will follow the Pharmacopoeia as a reference book for the preparation, for the analytical work and all the types of the informations about the particular kind of drug. Next is the formulary. Formularies are the list of drugs or collection of the formulas for the compounding of medicinal preparations. Just like the Indian Pharmacopoeia, there are the formularies of medicaments or the medical substance in the different countries. So, these formularies are the list of drugs or collection of the different kinds of the formulas, like when you are preparing the dosage form by mixing 2 or 3 drugs. So, all those formulas or the list of the drug, that is the formulary. And next is formularies contain more comprehensive detail on the therapeutics. The formulary will contain all over the informations about the action of drug, means the therapeutics of particular drug. And next is the collectively these books are known as the drug compendia. When we are talking about the pharmacopoeia, we are talking about the formularies. So, the combination of the formularies and the pharmacopoeia, they are considered as the drug compendia. Pharmacopoeia and the combination of the formularies are known as the drug compendia. Next is the different types of the pharmacopoeia, includes the national pharmacopoeias. National pharmacopoeias means it is the pharmacopoeia of any of the country, any of the nation. So, it is termed as the national pharmacopoeia. It may be of any, it may be the pharmacopoeia of any of the country, but there are many countries whose pharmacopoeias are on the name of their countries. So, that is the United States Pharmacopoeia, it is known as the USP. Second is the IP, we are familiar with it, it is the Indian Pharmacopoeia. Next is there PPRC, it is the Pharmacopoeia of the People's Republic of China. Next is the GP, it is the German Pharmacopoeia. Next is British Pharmacopoeia, BP, Portuguese Pharmacopoeia, Portugal, and the Mexican Pharmacopoeia, French Pharmacopoeia, Japanese Pharmacopoeia, and Argentine Pharmacopoeia. We have discussed as the national pharmacopoeia are the pharmacopoeia of the particular country, but the regional pharmacopoeia are also exist here, which includes a region for the as a reference standard book for the medications or the medicines. So, European Pharmacopoeia is a pharmacopoeia that includes the whole Europe. It is valid as an official book in the whole Europe. Next is the International Pharmacopoeia. It is a global pharmacopoeia. It is not for a particular country like the United States or the British or the India. It is valid for whole world. Next is the drug compendia. Official compendia. These are the compilation of the drugs and other substances recognized as legal standards of purity, quality and strength by government agencies of respective countries. As I told earlier, the compendia, drug compendia are the combination of the formularies and the pharmacopoeia. So, these are the examples of different drug compendia: British Pharmacopoeia (BP), British Pharmaceutical Codex, United States Pharmacopoeia (USP), Indian Pharmacopoeia and the Japanese Pharmacopoeia. These are the non-official compendia. When the government is publishing a book, a reference book, so that is the Pharmacopoeia, National Pharmacopoeia. But when other than government agencies, the private companies or the private associations, if they are having a record of drugs components or they are publishing a book that contain the informations about the drugs, that is the non-official compendia. The books other than the official drug compendia which are used as a secondary reference, they are also these non-official compendia are also the reference book, but they are the secondary standard, means they will be used after the National Pharmacopoeia or the national, like the Indian Pharmacopoeia or the USP Pharmacopoeia. So, these are the Merck Index, Martindale, the Extra Pharmacopoeia. So, it is the name, the Extra Pharmacopoeia. We are talking about the Indian Pharmacopoeia. So, Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission is an autonomous institution of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare which sets standards for the all drugs that are manufactured, sold and consumed in India. The set of standards are published under the title Indian Pharmacopoeia, which has been modeled over and historically follow from the British Pharmacopoeia, as we discussed earlier during the history. Indian Pharmacopoeia is the official book of standards for drugs to define identity, purity and strength for the drugs imported, manufactured for sale, stocked or distributed in India. In 1946, Government of India published Indian Pharmacopoeia list, which served as a supplement to BP, means British Pharmacopoeia. Indian Pharmacopoeia was prepared by Indian Pharmacopoeia Committee formed in 1948. So, these are the different editions of Indian Pharmacopoeia. The first edition of Indian Pharmacopoeia was published in 1955 and the supplement to this first edition was published in year 1960. After that, the second edition comes in 1966, whose supplement come in the year 1975. So, these are the five editions till now. 8 editions of the Indian Pharmacopoeia has already published, okay, and these are the different supplements and the addendums of particular edition of Indian Pharmacopoeia. Indian National Formulary. It is a reliable reference book on the drug formulations for the practicing physicians, clinicians, pharmacists, clinical pharmacists, nurses and other engaged in the healthcare professions. So, the Indian National Formulary is a list of different types of the dosage forms. It is composed of different kind of the drugs which are sold in the market or which are even exported from India. Next are the Indian Pharmaceutical Codex 1953. It is a book containing detailed informations on the indigenous drug of India. What are the indigenous drugs of India? Indigenous drugs includes all those herbal drugs or the natural drugs which are obtained from the natural sources. International Pharmacopoeia, as I told earlier, International Pharmacopoeia is valid for the whole world, and it is supported by the WHO, World Health Organization. The International Pharmacopoeia is published by the WHO and is practically used in developing countries. It was prepared to meet the international uniformity and standardizing of drug. As I told earlier, we prepare the National Pharmacopoeia for the uniformity in the whole nation for the different dosage forms of a particular drug. So similarly, at the global level, the International Pharmacopoeia is published by the WHO, World Health Organization, to make the uniformity in the dosage forms in the drug substances in the whole globe. It was prepared to meet the international uniformity and the standardization of the drugs. International Pharmacopoeia was first published in the year 1951 in the multi-language, means it is not published only in the English or the Greek, it is published in the English, French, German, Japanese, etc. European Pharmacopoeia, as the term indicates, the European Pharmacopoeia is valid for the whole Europe. It is the regional Pharmacopoeia, it is not the national Pharmacopoeia, it is not the international Pharmacopoeia, it is the regional Pharmacopoeia that is valid for the whole Europe. So the European Pharmacopoeia is the legal documents for the standards of drugs and related substance prepared by the Council of Europe. It is published or prepared by the Council of Europe. Next is the European Pharmacopoeia volume 1 was published in the year 1969 as the first European Pharmacopoeia. It includes more than 2000 specific and general monographs including the various chemical substances like antibiotics, biologicals, vaccines, immunosera, radiopharmaceuticals, herbal drugs and the homeopathic preparations. Japanese Pharmacopoeia, like the Indian Pharmacopoeia or the British Pharmacopoeia. Similarly, the Japan as a country, as a nation, it published its own pharmacopoeia. Japanese Pharmacopoeia is established and published to regulate the properties and quality of drugs by Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare of Japan. It consists of general notices, rules for crude drugs, rules for preparation, general test processes, apparatus and the official monographs of different kinds of the drugs. First published in the 1886, Japanese Pharmacopoeia has been revised many times or different editions has come for the Japanese Pharmacopoeia. So thank you all. It was a brief discussion about the Pharmacopoeia, about the Indian Pharmacopoeia or the whole different kinds of the formularies, about the record, about the reference book of medicines. So thank you very much.